Outer Orange.
This is my deck profile screen, and welcome back. Hello, OuterOrange here today, and today we're going to be going over Michu. This is for Overdress. This is the Michu card, and as you can tell, I did change my camera screen a little bit. It's about time I did this. I know it took me a while. Sorry you guys had to deal with my very crappy camera angles before, but I did change my camera angle now, so here we are. So today we're going to talk about Michu. Michu just recently got a new promo. I'll show you guys what she looks like. It's a new order. This is what she is. This is the light that shines on Solitude. So we got a new promo. So because we got a new promo, I think it's about time I made a profile on this. I was gonna make one earlier, and then I kind of like held off on it a little bit, and then I got sick, and then I just didn't get the chance to. And I know there's someone out there that's been really waiting for this, so here it is. We're gonna go ahead and get started with Michu. I will say, out of all the Miracle decks, I don't play this one as much, but I do play it occasionally. I do test with other people, and actually for a good while I was actually play testing into meta for a little bit for someone to help them compete in their own stuff. Rideline, you have to run the 0 Michu right here. You need to run this. You don't have a choice. Grade 1 procs off of her skill, so you kind of need to run this. So you want to run the grade 1, which her skill just directly says search for the all set up card, so you get all set up this way. Some people run an extra copy of this just to proc the Nuniko, or Nukuno. I can't really say her name. Some use it to proc her, so they run an extra copy. But now that we have the new order, you don't really need to do this. You can just run 1 and you'll be fine with just the 1. So we're sticking to 1 copy of that, but we'll get into that anyway. But anyway, she searches for that. Pretty much it's literally gets you all set up. Like the name of the order is like, the name of the order literally directly says what you're doing. You're setting up your strategy. So I forgot to talk about my sleeves, but these are my sleeves that I'm using. The Ride deck sleeves, I'm using Tira. And then for my deck box, I don't have it on me right now. It's actually upstairs because I was actually just testing it. This deck, but it was an L Steel deck box. But anyway, so yeah, going on in, so onto the grade 2. Now the grade 2, honestly, this grade 2 is very like whatever is probably the best way to put this. You can honestly put something else here, so because this is just one of those slots where it just isn't a very good card. So if you really want to slot something else in the slot, you really can. I'm sticking to the Michu because I just like it. Anyway, pretty much her skill says when riding on top of this, you top 5 for a cannonball or a glitter unit, I believe. Choose up to 1 card with Nukuno in its card name, or cannonballs. So you can pick up cannonball or that, and yeah, pretty much it just gives you the ability for that. Anyway, and then last but not least, we of course have Michu herself. She has a couple skills. She says if you have it all set up, which is again this card, then you can cannon blast. Has to be in your order zone. Cannon blast, draw a card, and then you can choose to card from your hand and you put it into onto the rear guard circle, or you discard it. So essentially what you can do is you can draw and discard, or you can draw a call. Normally you'll be drawing and calling, you won't be discarding as much. And then she has a secondary skill, which is kind of where all the magic starts happening. She says when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 2 and then choose one of your opponent's rear guards to retire, and she gets 5k. You can do this as an early on, but later on you actually want to change the cannonball skill into using this order right here. And this order says you can remove this from the order zone to then change the effect of her skill, which now says Soul Blast 2. You give 10k to 3 units, and then you actually be swapping with the Nuniko. So pretty much what you'll be doing is you'll be changing your skill and then going like more aggro, where you're keeping your skill and going more defensive. Typically when you're on your first grade 3 ride, if you're going first, you can actually stay on the original skill, because you don't really care so much about the power, because you can't swap your Vanguard anyway. But once you get into like your more aggressive turns, you'll normally be swapping. And normally 9 out of 10 times you'll be doing this effect almost every single time. You almost never do the original effect, because the original effect isn't like that crazy. But it is a retire, so it's not that bad. But that's the ride line. So first you want to run, this is the flower cannonball. We were just talking about it briefly here. Ideally what this card says is when she's put into the order zone, you can draw a card with the counter blast, but normally you'll be using it for free. And in case you can't use it for free, you can actually just straight play it. So you can counter blast and just draw a card, and then you can swap the effect for the Michu skill to make it so that way you give 10k to 3 rear guards, or 3 units, I believe. 3 units. So any 3 units you can give the effect, and I'll kind of explain which usually you want to give it to. But ideally you always want to use the 10k skill, so you'll be popping a lot of these. But if you're starting to run low, like say you only have like 1, you might want to be more cautious. But usually as you go through the deck really fast, you'll usually find them pretty quickly. So run the new girl. This is the Light of the Shines Solitude. So this is the card that kind of helps the deck not brick as much essentially now. So what the skill does is you play it as long as you have a Michu Vanguard, so you can do this on 0, 1, 2, or 3 of your ride line, right? Of your ride line, doesn't really matter. Pretty much what you do is you search your deck for a Nuniko, which again is just the grade 1. You discard it, and then if you have a Nuniko in your center circle, center back row circle, you can also just counter charge. Now, what's really nice about this is that because you're playing in order, you actually proc Nuniko's skill as well, because Nuniko works if she's in the drop zone, you can soul blast and call her out. So ideally what this does is this also sets you up for your full combo. So you can play this and then instantly get your Nuniko and then use Nuniko's skill and call her out, and then you can counter charge. So it's really nice because a lot of what this deck struggles with is it doesn't find, I know I'm calling her Nuniko, I don't know what the actual name is, but if you don't find this card in time, you actually will lose the game. You kind of need this as it's literally your win con. So this kind of helps you. I'm running it at 2 copies right now. Some run it less, some run it more, some don't run it at all. I actually think at 2 is like perfectly fine, and I think it's just, you do want to see it at some point, and even just the counter charge is really nice, just to counter charge, why not? And then also it's a free deck thin, playing her to essentially deck thin something out, or you could play 2 of them, deck thin 2 cards out. It's like, why not? Sometimes you'll find yourself in situations where people will bind your grade 1. If that happens, you're in a really bad spot, so having access to these makes it so that doesn't happen, and it also makes it so that they don't fall into damage, which is also super crucial, because again, you don't want them falling into damage. You kind of want at least 2 copies in your drop in case one gets bounced, so, or something, you know, something stupid happens to it. So in those situations, you definitely want this card to help you with that. So that's that. And last but not least, we of course run the all setup, which in case you guys don't know how this works, every single turn you can rest her soul charge and then play a cannonball, which is this. So what you want to do every single turn is you want to soul charge or play these, because what happens is that these get played for free without having the counter blast, and you pretty much draw for free. So these cards always replace themselves for draws. And on top of that, you're now setting up in the order zone. You can do this first turn, your second, on your third. You do this the entire game. You want to soul charge a lot because you're going to be soul blasting a lot. And actually, I run this deck in a way where it's very heavy on the soul blasting. So at least the way I play it is I soul charge every single turn, mandatory, unless I'm like down to like 3-4 cards in deck. So I will usually be using the skill like maximize. Even if I don't have a cannonball, I'll still soul charge. So that's kind of the way I run it, but you know, you can run it differently. The grade 3s are pretty simple. I run 3 persona, so just 3 persona, and then on top of that, I've run 3 of I believe her name is Villain. Oh, her name is Vine, or Vian, however you want to do it. So I run this card because this is into deck out matchups. Some people will try to, let me just show you which. Some people will try to deck you out, and because they'll try to deck you out, this is the one way to undeck yourself out, because this deck goes through the deck really fast. This is probably one of the fastest decks in the game in terms of going through your deck. I think Gravita is probably the other one, but this deck will go through, or Bruce maybe. But long story short, this deck goes through your deck really fast. It's also just a really good beater. This is an 18k beater at all times, but it pretty much says if you have an all set up in your order zone, you can give this 5k, then you can put a set order from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck and then give herself another 5k. So she's a 20k, a 23k, and then under persona she's a 33k, and then if you give that 10k to her, she's a 43k. It's really big. This is a really big girl. She stacks really fast, and against deck out, like I said, you really want to use this card. So I run it at 2. There's not really too much room for more than 2, so we have her at 2. That's our grade 3s. Our 2s are pretty small too. I just run this girl right here over Mary. She says when she attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, she gets 5k, and then when she hits, you can soul blast and take a cannonball from your drop. And put it into the order zone. Now, what's nice about this is that it also means you can play a cannonball for free. It is a soul blast. It gets a little costly, so I actually don't use the skill too often, but it's mainly just here for the 5k. The on-hit is really just to piss off my opponent. It's really not there for me, because the way I run this deck, you'll see some more in here. I actually run this deck where I soul blast a lot, so because of that, I never usually have a chance to use this girl as much, so I don't utilize her. I utilize her as a 15k beater, and that's about it. I used to run the shield girl. It was like this girl with like with the rock star thing on her. I don't remember the name. I'll have the picture up or something like that, but I used to run her. She was a 5k power, 5k shield, and then I had to substitute for these, of course. So because of that's where those slots went, and then this is just a non-hit girl. But yeah, she's mainly there for the power and for the intercepting, not much else. And then let's go into the grade 1s, because this is where kind of the spice starts happening. It's minor spice, but it's spice. First, I run Aura. This is in the situations where you're bricking and you're not finding your orders in time. This is the other way out. It forces your opponent to have to guard this, and especially if you find this early on, you'll be able to say, hey, hello, okay, cool, I found my stuff. Like there used to be a card, another on-hit card that said look at top 5. I can't remember her name, but there used to be a top 5 card. I actually hated that card with a burning passion, and I complete cut her, and instead we're just running this. And now since we have the new order that switches for the grade 1, we really don't need much else. We just need a way to find orders, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much secure in this deck. So I run 3 copies of this, and then I also run 3 copies of Justine. Now Justine might be kind of a weird pick. This is the way the on-hit grade 1 was. I hated that card. Anytime I played her, anytime she hit, I literally whiffed every single time I played. I think I hit her like once. So because I whipped her so much, I actually just cut her back and run this instead. So why am I running this? This says when she's discarded from your turn, discard from hand on your turn, you can still pass and call her out. This is actually pretty massive because you do discard with this card when you want to do the multi Vanguard swings. And honestly, sometimes your opponent like will calculate the amount of guarding they have to do, and then you'll discard this, and now there's another grade 1 on the board. You could also early discard this and then call it out, and then you'll have a bunch of just resources with that. You can just like push more. It is a 6k, so you're pushing isn't too great. It forces your opponent to have to guard a little bit harder like early on if you do it like that. And the other thing that's nice about it is that since this deck uses soul so much, it has a lot of soul to go through, you can actually use her pretty well and not worry about soul. Now I do want to keep in mind you always want to have 2 soul in your soul like at all times, so you do want to be careful with your soul, but you can easily like utilize this pretty well. And keep in mind, if you persona ride and then you soul charge with the grade 1, you'll always have the 2 soul active, so you can actually end your turn on 0 soul as long as you're not facing a deck that retires. If you're facing a deck that retires, then you do want to have 3 soul total to work with. So but that's that, and in which case maybe don't use the skill at all. But I run 3 of these instead of the on-hit girl. I just think this card is just way better in every way. Sometimes Michu just doesn't have any rear guards, and that really sucks. And this is another way to get rear guards as well. So I like using her. And then next we run the Ninako. We have 4 copies of her. So this is 4 copies of Ninako. I always call her, I don't know how to say her actual name, so I'm so sorry for everyone that's been listening to me butcher her name this entire time. Anyway, it says when a card is put to your order zone, if you do not have one of these on the board, you can soul blast and call her out. So that's half the skill, and then this is like, it's kind of a nice useful skill. Pretty much anytime you play the order, you can just bring her out. And it's pretty nice because that does proc on any of these orders. Like it procs on all 3 on all of these orders, so any of these orders that you have, you can proc her. And actually just having access to this now makes it that this procs as well. So I actually think that the synergy between these two is actually really solid now. So it's just overall just a very nice combination. But anyway, how the skill says, at the back row center circle at the end of the battle that your Vanguard attacks, if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast, discard a card, and you can restand this unit and swap positions. So essentially what this sounds like, if it's a little weird, you have Ninako back here, and what you do is you're literally swapping them, and then she will attack, right? So this is how that will happen. So they're literally swapping, and then they swap back. And the reason why this is important is because you can have multiple Vanguard attacks this way. She does have 1 drive check on her, and you pretty much just swing with her, and she'll always be pretty much 28 under Persona. And then again, if you play the Cannonball, you want to give the 10k to her, so she'll be really big. And keep in mind, you also can swing with her. You can swing booster with her, and then she restands herself. So you'll swing booster with her with Michu, and then you'll swap positions with them, and then she'll swing again. So it's actually really nice. And then last but not least is PGs. I run 3 and then 1 of the Blitz order. You can run 4 regular PGs if you really want. Sometimes you'll be in these weird situations where you actually don't have like anything to call. Sometimes you have to call for regard. It's kind of weird, but it does happen. But overall, this is usually pretty fine. You need the Blitz against like the weird matchups, especially into Jet and stuff like that, because let's go around the Jet guard restrict. So just something to keep in mind. But there's that. And Triggers is pretty simple. Some run fronts, some run draws. I prefer going the 8 crit routes, and then I run the 3 draw. I found my 3rd draw, and then the 3 draw, and then 4 heals, 4 regular heals, nothing crazy here, and 1 overture. So this is the ride line. This is the way I do it, and honestly, it's pretty fine for me. Some do run the fronts in the slots. It's nice for the big Unga Booga turns. It makes the numbers just way more psychotic. It also makes it easier for you to put the 10Ks in other places if you want. You can put a 10K on Vanguard to make it more lethal if you know if you're going to hit the fronts. I like the draws because sometimes you do brick, and under the bricking situations you do want to see pieces, and honestly hitting draws never feels bad, and you'll usually be drawing into cards you need or units you need, or you'll be drawing into good stuff. If not, you'll be drawing to shield, which is also useful. And then of course let's talk about the OT real quick. The OT is very massive. You have 3 drive checks a turn essentially, so you'll have a higher chance of hitting this, and it's just overall very good. And then we run regular heals because there's no reason to run the other ones right now, but if meta changes, of course, then maybe you want to change it up. But for right now, this is fine as well. So there's that. And that's pretty much the entire shoe profile. There really isn't too much else. I might do a little Mulligan run game with you guys. I would have nothing to roll with. Oh my god. I guess I'll do it the old-fashioned way. If I find a 3, I go first. I found the 2, so I'm going second. All right. Anyway, so let's do a quick mulligan. So let's see what we end up getting here. This actually isn't too terrible. We got the Ninako, which is very big. We have a Cannonball, which is big, and we have an attack, which is big. So we're actually gonna probably send back these 2. We don't need them as badly until we get returned. Oh, that's not. Oh, that's actually really good. All really good stuff. Honestly, they're really good Mulligan hand. This is kind of the kind of hand you usually want to have. But this is very good. Very solid stuff here. So anyways, we'll draw. Oh god. Now it's like, what do we discard? I actually might just say, we're going second anyway, so I actually prefer to have this on the board. So I'll actually discard this, right into the grade 1, search our deck for our all setup. On this side, it's always a search for. Bottom either. Where? I'm blind. I can't find. Am I blind? Oh, there it is. Honestly, these kind of on the corner that match. It's actually really easy to confuse them. Anyway, there we go. All right, so we do have the cannonball here, so we're gonna go ahead and call this to the order zone, and then we'll rest her, soul charge a card, and then we'll call the cannonball here and draw. So there we go. So now we have a nice little hand. We did go second, so we'll just go ahead and actually we'll apply some pressure here. So we'll actually call out the order here. The order card, and we'll just go ahead and go in. Opponent may have wanted to pass this, may have let this hit. I don't know. We'll assume they let it hit, so we'll go ahead and retire, get our girl. Now we're set up for next turn, because usually people want damage, so if it doesn't hit here, it'll hit next turn for sure. We'll want damage fund to grade 3. So there's that. Oops. And then they go. We'll take our damage, and then it's our go, and then we'll draw. Oh, nice. We got the order too. Wow, this is a very good mulligan. Ooh. I'm running out of options to discard because we'll discard Nico this time, because we want her, Nico, whatever her name is, we want her to drop anyway, so we'll go ahead and do that. Ride into the grade 2, activate her skill, top 5, or cannonball, or her. Wow, we're really hitting the nut here. I'll go ahead and grab the cannonball and do that, and then we'll unset this up, and then we'll actually go ahead and soul charge again, and then we'll play one of these and draw a card. So we'll hold on the order, we'll just raw swing here. It's a heal. Cool. And then they're gonna go, we hit a defense. They probably can still hit over a little bit, and it's our turn since they did go first. And wow, this hand just keeps getting better and better. We'll discard this. We just keep finding good stuff. We'll start first with the counterblast. We'll draw. Oh my god. it's like the gods have come to help us. We'll call this out, and then this is unrested again. And then here we'll probably rest this again, soul charge. Oh, there. One of those, and we'll place this here and draw a card, and now we'll actually, oh my god. Oh, you guys can't see the hand. Wait, you guys are seeing my amazing hand. We just keep drawing into good cards. Anyway, we'll use this skill to then proc our girl. We'll go ahead and drop the Nuko here, and then we'll soul blast, call her out first. So we'll call one out, and then we'll counter charge off the order skills. There we go. That's our full setup here, and then whew, got a lot going on here. A lot of juicy stuff happening. Then we'll probably call another one here. And the only thing we don't have is we don't have Justine, which is actually very, so we'll probably do something. I'm gonna move these order cards. You guys don't need. Honestly, we'll probably pop one of these here since we are going second. We already have our skill active. We'll soul blast 2 and change her effect here. And then we'll just go ahead and go proceed into battle here. So we'll swing, boost it. And then we are already soul blasted, so we'll give 10, 10, 10 here. So these 3 will have the 10, and then we're gonna do our drive check. So crits, we'll put the crit here, power here, probably depending on how they're doing it. And then we'll activate the skill here. So we'll counter blast, ditch a card. Oh god, I'll ditch a persona, and then we'll swap these 2. And then there's restance. So it'll be like this, and then we'll swing with her again. She has extra power on her, so she is now 28 for 1 drive. Another crit, we'll just put it wherever, and then swing with one of these, send back one of these cards to the bottom, get the extra power, and then you can finally end it here. And they can choose to let the on-hit hit or not. I don't know if they will. We'll just say they don't, but if they do, then we grab the one from the bottom, right? And then that's it. And then we swap back, and now it's our opponent's turn. We're only at 1 damage, by the way, so we can take some damage. Hey, there's my Justine's. We hit a heal. Probably won't go off. Probably take some more damage. Our hand isn't like too great, so actually we can't really guard too well, but we'll still drop some cards. And now it's our turn. So we'll stand, draw. Oh, another Nico. We'll persona ride this time, draw, and yeah, we have our unrested condition again. We'll just rest her once more, soul charge, and then draw a card. And it's another perfect guard, and then yeah, honestly, here you can honestly call another one of these if you want. If you really just want the numbers, and then yeah, we just go back into battle phase. We pop one of these again. we meet the condition, and then we swing with Vanguard, and we Soul Blast 2 to then again go back in, check 1, check 2, and then this time, oh, so maybe I shouldn't have called this. So now let me not call that, just so I can show you guys the Justine scale. So Justine scale here, you can counter blast, Soul Blast, and you can swap these, and then her condition will come back out. You Soul Blast, and she gets called back out. So there you go. This restands, and then again you'll just swing with this with 1 drive. Another critical, because apparently crits, you know, put whatever. Swing this side, you can activate her skill again if you want. You can send another cannonball to the bottom power. Then you can proceed to swing here, and in case this hits, cool, you can grab your cannonball, and then shuffle you. Now you have a cannonball for next turn. And that's pretty much it. And then you will just keep doing that over and over again until you die or your opponent dies. This deck survives for a very long time, so it's actually pretty good. And honestly, that was a great example of a really, really good Mulligan game. That was probably everything going right. Honestly, we actually saw everything in the best way possible. Overall, I think it's a very fun deck. I feel like I don't give this deck enough justice. I need to play it more, but I just keep getting distracted by other decks. And I just keep not playing this one. I love pink-haired girls, so like I really should be playing it more, but I just keep getting distracted by other things. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the profile. I hope it was informative. I let you kind of see how the gameplay works. I'm working with a new camera angle here, so sorry if I'm not like perfect with my hand movement and stuff like that. I'm getting used to it. But other than that, guys, it was super fun to make this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys like the new setup. I hope it's a little bit more clearer. I know a lot of people say they can't see my cards, so hopefully this makes it so much easier to see the cards now. Other than that, guys, I'm gonna head out now. So peace out, das vidania, and enjoy your Michu stuff. Bye!